Hello and welcome back to the Karma Stories podcast. I'm Rob and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today I have 7 stories for you from the Tales from Tech Support subreddit. The Karma Stories podcast is published to all major podcasting platforms, and you can also read along on YouTube under our @Karma Stories podcast handle. Alright, on to today's stories. Let's get our nerd on. This story comes to us from Bata. I'm sorry, are you a technician or not? Nothing annoys me more than people who are rude to you when you're there to help them. Well, except for people who are rude to you when you are there to help them, and the problem is completely their own ineptitude and lack of common sense. Today, we got a message from a user saying Outlook wouldn't open. I remote on and I can see Outlook open on the taskbar. I change monitors and on the third screen, I can see Outlook prompting to select a profile. I assume she just wasn't sure what to do here, so I chose the default profile and set it to always use this one to avoid the pop-up from happening again. I briefly explain the issue to the user, but she insists it still isn't opening and gives a fairly snotty response, saying she's been unable to work since 2 p.m. It's 2:45 at this point. I tell her I had it open before I left, but I can connect again to check. I connect and it sat right there, as open as an Outlook application can possibly be. I ask her how many screens she uses. 3 is the answer. I tell her that it is open on one of those screens and ask if there is another problem. She says no. I then say, sorry, I don't know what the problem is. I then get the response, sorry, are you a technician or not? This royally pissed me off. I connect again, screenshot the window showing Outlook is open, and send it to the user. She insists she can't see it. I go to the display settings and show her that it is on screen 3. She says it isn't showing anything on that screen. I ask her if she can see the notepad I have opened on that screen. She says no. I ask her if the monitor is connected. She says yes. I ask her if it's turned on. She says no. I ask her to turn it on, she does, and says she can see Outlook now. The effing audacity of some people to be rude and criticize people for helping when they lack the basic brain power to do such rudimentary tasks astounds me. She's now my second least favorite user. Opie added an edit on at the bottom. It says, edit, the first spot for least favorite user was a similar story, except the issue was with a third-party mail provider. And when I tried to explain that it's not something we can help with, he used the phrase, do you not know what you're doing? That level of rudeness is hard to beat, though I've had some close ones. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, we have one from a user called Bushcraft Hatchet. It says, it astounds me the number of remote users who want me to do something for them over lunch, and when they leave for lunch, they turn their machine off and are mad at me for not fixing their problem while they were away. They don't understand it just simply cannot work if it is off. In the 8 years that I did tech support in a couple of different call centers, I never had somebody that didn't realize their monitor was turned off. Granted, I had some pretty dumb people, but this one here, this is a special kind of person. This story comes to us from The Guy. I'm not an idiot and don't need to be treated like one. I have a customer that is about an hour away from us. They are a small office, 3 to 4 people. Not much equipment there, a switch, firewall, and AP. One day, the battery backup died and everything went down. I was texting with the user trying to figure out what was happening. They have a power strip that was plugged into the battery that was housing most of the plugs. I eventually asked her to bypass the battery and just plug the strip into the wall. Still wouldn't work. Asked to send me a picture of everything. The next part is the actual exchange we had. It could take a minute for the network to come back up. Are there lights on the equipment? The employee sends a picture of the equipment. What equipment? No lights on anything. Nothing's working. It looks like the power strip is plugged into itself. Make sure it's plugged into the wall outlet. Okay, I'm not an idiot and I don't need to be treated like one. The strip is plugged into an extension cord that's plugged into the wall, so it can reach everything. Worked yesterday, including the strip, so it's not plugged into itself, it's plugged in where it's always been plugged in. Probably where you guys plugged it into. I'm certainly not treating you like an idiot. From the picture, it just looked like it was. Are your monitors plugged into the power strip? Wondering if that thing is dead. After a few more fruitless back and forths, I decided to drive the hour out there and take a look. I needed to get a new battery out there anyway. Was there for a whole 30 seconds before discovering that it was indeed plugged into itself. They were down for a couple hours when it was avoidable simply by taking the time to actually look at what they had done. I told her that it was plugged into itself, and she literally said, "Oh," and nothing else. On the bright side, I haven't heard from her since then, and it's been over a year now. The employee here may have just been frustrated and not really realized what they were looking at if they were technically inept. OP should add a new section onto their contract for users like this called the checked it clause, meaning that if I told you to check something and you say you did, but I come out there and it's obvious you didn't check it, there's an extra fee. This story comes to us from Downtown Trainer 7435, but it's going to blow up. Around 2008, I'm working tech support for a large health insurance company. I get a call from a distraught young claims worker telling me that she needs a new PC. Hers is making a horrible noise and won't boot up. She swears there was smoke coming from it before she turned it back off. So we go back and forth. I'm just trying to get her to turn on the PC for a second so that I can hear the noise over the phone and diagnose for the site tech. She adamantly refuses to turn it back on because she doesn't want to risk a fire. I'm thinking, horrible noise and smoke, she's probably got a bad case or power supply fan, maybe the bearings in a hard drive. So finally, after she calms down a bit, I talk her into turning on the PC just for a sec so that I can possibly help, or at least give my diagnosis to the floor tech. She hits the power and there is no strange noise for a few seconds. Then it starts. It was a cacophony of beeps, beep, 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 etc. I know that noise. I know exactly what's causing it. Well, best guess anyway, with a bit of experience thrown in. "Ma'am, where's your purse?" "Excuse me, what? My purse?" "Your purse. Exactly where is it at this moment?" "What? What the heck are you talking about? My purse? What? I'm calling tech support to get a new computer, and you're playing stupid games? What is wrong with you?" Pause. Click, she hung up. Yes, her purse was sitting on her keyboard. I can't possibly verify that in any way, but the hang up and no callback tells me I was spot on. I have many tech support stories I could share, but that one was the funniest to me and has gotten me the most laughs over the years. The one that made me the maddest got fired one time after I accidentally embarrassed a CEO. Drove 3 hours to plug his PC in after the cleaning crew caught his power supply plug with the vacuum cleaner. He swore up and down that he had followed the troubleshooting steps that I was dictating to him. I walked in, saw the plug from the door, plugged it in, turned it on, and said, "There you go, sir, have a good day," and I left. He called my manager and told him that I no longer have a job, or else. I really don't miss that place. Ah yes, the picnic error. Problem in chair, not in computer. But also called picnic because the user's brain is out to lunch. I love how the user didn't want to own up to their mistake and just hung up the phone. I guess they couldn't handle the embarrassment. This story comes to us from Raddies, Privacy by Design. Hello everyone, back again for a short little story that's currently ongoing, so the fun might continue. I work in healthcare, specifically elder care here in the Netherlands. Now, one of the departments of the company I work for is tasked with what you could call acquisition. GPs refer clients to, clients reach out to us, hospitals discharge their patients to become our clients. Usually, there's a waiting list for people before they can move into an apartment. To ensure they can keep track of all the prospective clients, they've implemented a new application which links to our other systems. It stores contact info, personal data, manages entry times. It's a pretty nice piece of software, all SaaS, so there's very little for us to manage. But they decided to implement this without informing IT. And when the project was finished, they came to us asking us to do the admin and support for the application. And our manager said no. Basically, we didn't implement it, we didn't do our vetting and checking on IT requirements, so it's not something we can support. I like my manager. This morning, a colleague picked up a ticket about this app, asking about how they had made a few general accounts that they were going to pass out to the various departments, so everyone there could log in. So they could cover for one another while someone was on holiday, or sick leave, or whatever. But the app forces 2FA login, so they were asking, hey, how can we make sure everyone can log in with the same account? How can we get this code to everyone? Remember how I told you how this system contains a ton of personal data belonging to prospective clients? Things like the BSN, think Dutch SSN, house address, mail address, telephone numbers, and details about the kind of medical care they're looking for. We talked about this during our morning meeting and all had a good laugh about the request. And I noted how this was practically a perfect example of privacy by design. Needless to say, we're not going to help them circumvent the 2FA security. I think in this case, a simple conversation needs to be had with the manager of that department saying, hey, could you enter all of your personal information into that system first? Your SSN, your government ID, your bank account numbers, and then we'll look at giving everybody access to the 2FA. Make them realize the exact kind of information that they're giving everybody access to. Then they might realize that this is actually a huge data breach and is probably illegal too. This story comes to us from Knockmancer. Why can't you just help me? Our receptionist got a phone call asking to be transferred to IT. Obviously, it shouldn't have gone this long, but I was dumbfounded. This is how the interaction went. Good afternoon, it's Knockmancer with IT. How can I assist you? Heavy breathing. Hello, this is IT. Yeah, is this IT? Yes. I'm a former employee who got furloughed and left the company during COVID, and I need your help with my son's Fortnite account. I can only assist current. You guys need to give me access to my company email for 24 to 48 hours so I can get the code. Or have you forward the code to my son's Fortnite account because I somehow accidentally signed up with my old company email. I cannot do that. You would have to contact Fortnite support or something because I can't help you. Anything else? I already spoke to them and I've been working on this for over 100 hours now. Why can't you just give me access? We cannot and will not forward any emails to a non-employee, let alone give them access to an email. Well, I'll just call, name drops a specific employee, and he'll give me the access I need. No, he won't. Anything else I can help you with? Why can't you just help me with this? I don't understand. So his Fortnite account is just gone now? No, I'm going to put the phone down now. Click. Obviously blasted him in our IT Teams chat, and we all crapped all over this dude. I don't know about you guys, but I would never in my life consider making such a dumb phone call. Calling a prior employee for access to an email for your son's video game? Really? Come on, my guy. This person left 3 years ago and they think they are still going to get access to an email account for a company they don't work for? It sounds like they're really grasping at straws at this point because their kid is probably bugging the crap out of them. This story comes to us from Defiant Lion 8183, training the untrainable. Hi, first time poster on this sub. So this one is still getting me in the giggles. Backstory, this woman got the job I was going for because she has no prior knowledge of how to do things in my industry. Basically, my boss is sick of people in her team telling her we can't do that because it's against compliance law. So she's hiring yes people. Well, it's about to bite her. I was asked to train the competition that beat me. Okay, fair enough. I have better things on my career horizon, so I'm not going to be horrible. I started to train her on tiny Excel reports. First thing I noticed is she's a henpecker on the keyboard. This role requires immediate skills. Okay, fine, that's weird, but sure, all good. Next thing is the super fast clicking OK without reading anything. Yep, I've been guilty of that. Third one, well crap, we've been screenshotting the steps all along, but she skips them or doesn't look at them properly and completely screws it. When she runs a report without me beside her, she ends up generating a blank report. She proudly shows me an empty Excel with headings only. She knew the report was supposed to have a list of names and dates for the particular item. We run it again, and I just kept repeating, slow down and read your notes, getting frustrated by the 7th time I had to say it. I've taught children and adults with and without disabilities. I've never been this annoyed before. By the time she gets it right, I'd practically hand over hand done it for her. The next report she runs a few hours later and stuffs it from the get-go. So I stopped what I was doing and ran it myself. Sent it to her as a screenshot so she could see it, but not claim it as her own. And told her to follow your notes until you get the exact same thing. I still don't know if she'd hoped I would give her my report and say she did it, or if she really is that bad. Time will tell. So far, the report has not been produced. Wanna take bets? Jumping down to the comment section on this one, we have one from a user called Spectrum2700. It says, both. The idiot here isn't good enough with computers to start, but is intentionally trying to get you to do it, under orders from the idiot boss, who doesn't give a darn about the compliance laws. Are the people up the food chain just as bad as the boss, or will they actually react when they hear she's trying to circumvent the compliance laws? OP responded and said, there's already background plans in the works to force the higher-ups to see it. Right now, I believe they don't know it's happening, but as I exit, I'm setting a few things in motion that are now at a stage they can't be stopped. I'm all for training somebody if they're actually trying to learn, and if they're not getting it, sure, we'll go over it again, it's not a big deal. But if they're refusing to do basic steps and read the instructions, then, well, F them. We're just going to let them fail. This story comes to us from Celerith Soren about classing floppy disk. I have a couple of stories that could go here, but a fortuitous encounter with an old schoolmate today reminded me of this one. It isn't one of mine, but it is the story of our software engineer teacher, always told to illustrate that if users can screw something, they will screw it. For a bit of context, it was the era of the 5¼ inch floppy disk, and my teacher was doing tech support for a PC installer. One day, my teacher got a call from a company where he had made an install a few weeks prior. A panicked secretary explained to him that her boss asked her to print some files, but she can't read the floppy disk with them. He tried to solve the issue on the phone, but ultimately concluded that her floppy drive was dead and needed a replacement. My teacher took a new drive and went on his way to the client. Once there, he proceeded to check if the floppy drive was really dead by putting in a test floppy disk he had took with him. And it worked. He then observed the secretary operating the floppy drive, and once again, it worked just fine with his test floppy disk. It was at this moment the secretary said, "Oh, but I have this problem only with those from this one specific coworker." Given this clue, my teacher went to see this coworker with the bad floppy disks and asked her to see them. The coworker went to a cabinet and took out a binder. The coworker was asked to class the floppy disks, so she punched them and put them in the binder. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, we have one from a user called 28 Right Hand. It says, folding them so they fit in envelopes to post wasn't unheard of either. Sadly, I am old enough to remember single-sided 5¼ inch floppies that you could cut a notch in the side and carefully on the inside so you could use them upside down to double your storage, a whole extra 100 kilobytes, I think. Now this has got me remembering 5¼ inch floppies and the stickers you could put over them for write protection. You would literally put a sticker over the notch on the floppy disk and the drive would realize it couldn't copy over that data. It got a little bit easier when we went up to the 3.5-inch floppies because it just had a little slider you had to close, and that was its right protection. If you enjoy daily Reddit stories, I encourage you to follow and add us to your favorites on whichever podcasting platform you enjoy the most. And if you're watching and listening on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and drop a like on the video. It really helps us out. I thank you for watching and listening. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.